Absolutely. And the part of the reason I wanted to come on is to see if you guys are on planet Earth or live in an alternate reality.
What's going on, you guys? Today we have Krystal Ball and Cenk Uygur getting into it. Cenk Uygur is going on about how Trump and MAGA aren't the same thing. Krystal and Kyle are just laughing at this guy. I'm giving my commentary. Let's get into it.
Talk through. Can I, let's have a conversation. So we said, sure, let's do that. And this kind of follows on the heels of a discussion / debate that you and I had back in December. Where, the launching point, and you can, correct me if you don't think that this is a fair characterization of this conversation, but the launching point was a tweet that you had put out expressing some optimism about the Trump administration. So we can put that tweet up on the screen from Cenk to refresh everybody's memory about where we started. So you said, in November 29th, 2024, I've been trying to figure out why I'm more optimistic now than I was before the election. Even though I was so against the guy who won, I know now MAGA is not my mortal enemy, neither is the extreme left. My mortal enemy is the establishment, and they have been defeated. So over the course of that conversation, you explained to me that the reason you felt optimistic was really two reasons. Number one, as you say there, the establishment was defeated. And number two, you felt that the elements of the populist right and the bros would hold Trump accountable. And it kind of built to this crescendo where he actually turned to the camera and said, listen, guys, in a little while, you're going to be able to say whether I was right or whether Krystal was right. Let's go ahead and play that portion as a refresher. That is element number two.
I want to address something to the audience. Can I?
Sure.
Is this my camera here? Okay, yeah. So right-wing populists, it is now your job to prove Krystal wrong. Okay.
Go out and do it, y'all.
So she doesn't believe you. And by the way, almost no one on the left, other than me and Anna, believe you guys that you actually want to cut the Pentagon and that you could pressure Elon Musk and Donald Trump to cut the Pentagon. So are you going to prove the left wrong, or are you going to prove them spectacularly right? Am I going to have to come on here and apologize to Krystal for ever believing in any right-wing populist and say, oh, I was a sucker, those guys are liars. All they want to do was increase the Pentagon, have more wars, more corruption, and they never held Trump accountable. We waited 4 long years for them to hold him accountable, and all they did was kiss his ass and show that they don't really believe in freedom. They said all this stuff about freedom, but they never meant it. Mm-hmm. They said all this stuff about drain the swamp, but they never meant it. They said all this anti-war stuff, but they never meant it. We're going to come back on here in 1 year, 2 years, 4 years, and we're going to keep doing a check.
So right here, it would seem perfectly reasonable, after that clip has played and after we have, with our own eyes, witnessed what has gone down in the White House so far in the first six months of his term, right, to apologize. That would be completely reasonable. But let's see what Cenk is going to do.
So, Cenk, that was kind of the context of that discussion. And just for the audience and for you, since there's 2 of us and 1 of you, and we don't want to be like jumping on all over each other, and maybe Kyle and I have disagreements on things, I thought I would kind of handle the first 30 minutes more or less. Kyle would handle the second 30 minutes. You've got an engagement you've got to go to, hard out in an hour, so that's the amount of time that we have.
We could do this for 4 hours if we had the time.
I'm sure we could, and it would be painful for all involved. But in any case, we've got a hard out for Cenk in 1 hour. We want to be very respectful of his time. So with everything that's happened in Trump 2.0, do you still feel that original optimism that you expressed at the time, do you still feel that was well-founded?
Absolutely. And the part of the reason I wanted to come on is to see if you guys are on planet Earth or live in an alternate reality. And I'm not trying to be insulting. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm being genuine about it. And Krystal, I went back and watched our conversation from back then.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, you kept saying like things against Trump. And that's why I didn't even think it was a debate. It was a discussion, because I was like, yeah, I totally agree with you on Trump and the Republicans, et cetera. I was talking about the populist right and the independents that voted for Trump, the actual voters. And you saw it in that clip. I don't address Trump. I don't address any Republicans. I address the voters. So what has happened since then? Joe Rogan has come out against what Trump has done with Mahmoud Halil, with Abrego Garcia. Almost all of the MAGA hosts have come out against the war, ranging from Tucker Carlson, Steve Bannon. Then you've got the politicians like Marjorie Taylor Greene. You've got Tim Dillon. I'm not sure you can name a right-wing MAGA host or independent host that's for the war in Iran. So I'm genuinely curious. Like, Are you guys not seeing that, or does that somehow magically not count?
So, Cenk, I have the same question as to whether or not you're on planet Earth. Because, first of all, let me ask you this question.
I don't mean to butt in, right before Krystal gets into it, but Cenk is saying something along the lines that a lot of people will be like, they might scratch their heads and they might say that, oh, well, he has a good point. These guys are not holding him accountable, right? They're going to sit here and they're going to say, hey, look, this guy, he's not doing the right thing. He's not doing the right thing. And then what are they doing about it? Nobody's getting together. Nobody, if anything, they're still shitting on the left for getting together and protesting. They're out here making fun of people who are talking against Trump, where they will, they are not speaking out against him. They're not even holding him accountable. They don't even, you go watch some Joe Rogan, you'll see he doesn't even mention his freaking name.
Do you think that Trump 2.0 is better or worse than Trump 1.0?
Trump is irrelevant.
No, he's not irrelevant, because I'll tell you why. Here's why. You expressed optimism about how all this would go. And the reason you were optimistic is because, hold on. No, we just saw your tweet, okay? The reason you were optimistic
I can explain the tweet.
Is because you thought these various groups and influencers would hold him accountable. So did they constrain his behavior, for example, when Elon Musk was running around with a chainsaw, slashing Social Security, and gutting the federal government and gutting the CFPB? No, we didn't. In fact, we saw Joe Rogan host Elon Musk, not to mention Mark Zuckerberg and Mark Andreessen, to make the case for those things, okay? No accountability there. Did we see them constrain his behavior and hold him accountable when he launched a crypto shitcoin, the most corrupt scheme in American history, most likely? No, he did it. He's faced no accountability for that. You mentioned some dissent from Rogan on the kidnapping of college students off of college campuses. Is it the right that organized in opposition to that? No, it's the left and it's liberals. The only time that Trump's actions have been constrained at all in this Trump 2.0 era, which is vastly worse than I even expected when you and I had that conversation. I mean, we've got men in hundreds of people in a concentration camp. I didn't see any accountability from the right on that. I don't see any accountability from the right on an American city that is right now under invasion by our own troops, Marines on the ground in the city of LA. No, I don't see any accountability there. I see an administration that, as I predicted, the guardrails are completely off. And the only places where he has been constrained at all is when the left and liberals organized against Elon Musk, Tesla protests, showing up at town halls, etc., made him toxic. He had to be turfed out of the administration. And in the context of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, when you had mass left liberal resistance, even pushing Democratic leaders who were lame and weak to do something, Chris Van Hollen goes down to El Salvador.
Making a part 2 for this vid too, because Kyle gets into it and Kyle drags Cenk pretty well, like pretty spectacularly as well. Cenk mentions Steve Bannon, saying, he's even speaking up against. Steve Bannon is wanting to get Trump elected for a third term, Cenk. Steve Bannon is wanting to elect him for a third term. Not only does that sound like a king, not only does that start to sound like Putin, the whole, whether you want to say, if we had a real king, you can't speak up against you couldn't even have a rally against the king. Well, it's getting there. He wants to become a third term. That is what Steve Bannon is pushing for right now. He says that he believes that. That is on record, I believe, in the past month. So as far as people holding Trump accountable, as far as people saying, look, hey, this guy is, he's doing too much. No, they want more of it, Cenk. They're just fooling you. They're giving you, I guess, maybe a sliver of hope if you want to even see that. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, though. It's another day in the progressive way.